Zobaczcie, co się dzieje. Ale numer. Nie myślałem, że trafię na coś takiego.
So we need to help ordinary people, you know, in Poland, in Lithuania, in Latvia, wherever, like to help them improve their societies.
Well, they're racist. Siemanko, witam Was na kanale Polak w UK. Witam się z Wami z Lincoln po raz kolejny. Ostatnio nie udało się znaleźć wielu Polaków. Mam nadzieję, że tym razem pójdzie nam lepiej, ale jeśli nie, to dla Anglików i całej reszty też mamy przygotowane dzisiaj naprawdę ciekawe pytania. Zapraszam do oglądania. A dzisiaj spróbujemy wypytać ludzi o to, jak będą głosować w najbliższych wyborach. Bo w maju, nie dość, że w Polsce mamy wybory prezydenckie, to w Wielkiej Brytanii mamy również wybory samorządowe. Także kogo byśmy dzisiaj nie spotkali, to będziemy ich męczyć trudnymi politycznymi pytaniami. Dla tych, którzy nie wiedzą, to tylko przypomnę, że w zeszłym roku w Wielkiej Brytanii na scenie politycznej nastąpiło niezłe tąpnięcie. Po wielu latach do władzy doszła Partia Pracy, a Partia Konserwatywna przeszła do opozycji. A co ciekawe, to podobno w ostatnich sondażach wychodzi na to, że partia, która jest totalnie antyimigracyjna, nazwana Reform UK, zdobyła prowadzenie, jeżeli chodzi o przewidywanie tego, co wydarzy się w maju w wyborach samorządowych. Nie wiem, na ile to jest realne i rzetelne źródło informacji, taki sondaż, no ale podobno takie właśnie zmiany następują na scenie politycznej Wielkiej Brytanii. Więc chodźcie ze mną, spróbujemy dowiedzieć się, co myślą o tym ludzie na ulicy. Excuse me, sir, can I ask a quick question? No worries. Excuse me, can I ask a quick question? Was Starmer a good choice?
It wasn't mine.
No?
No.
And are you gonna vote in May, in the local election?
I'm not from around here.
No?
No.
Okay, no worries. Have a good one. Excuse me, can I ask a quick question? Do you think Starmer was a good choice?
Do I think Starmer was a good choice? Oh, I don't know. I try not to get too involved in all the politics and that stuff. I think I'm going to look into it at some point properly, but I don't want to base my opinions because I don't know all the facts.
I see. And so are you going to vote in the local election in May?
I think, I don't know. I'll do some research on it first and I'll just see where I'm at, because if I don't know all the facts, then I don't want to make a vote, because I don't want to vote and then end up making a bad choice, because it's going to affect everyone, not just me.
I see. And do you think at the moment, for a young person like you, how's life in UK? Do you feel affected by the other people's choices?
Yeah, other people's choices definitely do affect us, because obviously people live different lives. Everyone has to go through different things. So I think just choose someone that's going to have the best outcome for everybody and not just yourself, I reckon. But like I said, I don't know all the facts.
And what do you do? Do you work or do you study?
Yeah, I work. I'm not doing much at the moment, to be honest with you, but I'm figuring out a plan, yeah.
I see. Okay, all the best, yeah? Fingers crossed for you. Thank you, mate. Have a good one. Zobaczcie, co się dzieje. Ale numer. Nie myślałem, że trafię na coś takiego. To są na pewno ludzie, którzy będą chcieli ze mną dzisiaj porozmawiać. Can I ask a quick question? Do you think Starmer was a good idea?
No, so Starmer is a lackey of the working class. Labour is not representative of the working class. They kind of abandoned their working class policies over 40 years ago with the miners' strike, and we need a genuinely a better alternative for the left movement. We need someone who's better than Starmer, better than cutting more social programs, cutting £6 billion in the public sector, because they can always find money for bombs, but not for they can find money for bombs, but never money for healthcare, and that's a problem with the entire capitalist system at large. Just because reform's bad doesn't mean that Labour poses any real good alternative either.
So do we have any good alternative in the country at the moment?
We do, absolutely. Right now, this is being organised by Socialist Workers' Party, which has strong links to the trade union organisation. Of course, Tusk, which is the Trade Union and Socialist Coalition, and I'm here representing the Revolutionary Communist Party, which is a growing vanguard of the far left that seeks to abolish capitalism entirely, because we know that eventually these problems will just keep arising, and the rise of reform is only because of the feeling of anti-establishment, the feeling of the anti-establishment mood growing, because people are sick of capitalism and they don't realise that they're sick of capitalism, but that's ultimately what is freezing their homes, is cutting their wages, is making it harder to commute by all the prices going up, just like the cost of living crisis as a whole. because the world is not controlled by the workers, and it ought to be, and that's what we fight for with both the Socialist Workers' Party, who are here organising this thing, and the Revolutionary Communist Party, who I'm here representing.
Great stuff, great stuff. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Przysięgam, że tego nie planowałem, naprawdę. Ja tu dzisiaj wyskakuję do Lincoln z pytaniami politycznymi i trafiam na demonstrację nowych partii, które uważają, że są alternatywą na rynku politycznym Wielkiej Brytanii. Także postaram się jeszcze tutaj zagadać do kogoś. Myślę, że to są ludzie, którzy będą chcieli mówić i będą mieli coś do powiedzenia. Także chodźcie ze mną, zobaczymy, z kim mi się tu jeszcze uda porozmawiać. Policja pilnuje, żeby był porządek, ale zobaczmy, co tu się będzie działo. Hello, can I ask a quick question?
Not particularly.
Not particularly. Maybe just why you're here today?
Is it getting my good angle?
Very good angle.
Thank you. Well, I'm not open to questions, so...
Okay, no problem. Have a good day, yeah? Want to answer a quick question?
What's your name?
My name, Cody.
Cody.
Yeah.
I'm Nick.
Nice to meet you, Nick.
Yeah.
Why are you here today?
I'm here as one of the stewards to help make sure that this process goes ahead safely, effectively, and peacefully.
And what is this protest for?
So we're opposing Reform UK.
Okay.
And putting forward,
Is it because they are growing and the polls are showing that they might mean something in May?
So yes, partly, but also because we think that at Reform UK don't really stand up for ordinary people. They are obviously getting support because people are pissed off with the mainstream parties, but we think that in reality, their policies would mean cuts in public services, attacks on workers' rights, and make it harder for us to stand together to actually improve our society, because they pit people against each other with their racist ideas, and we want to encourage people to come together instead of being divided.
I see. And do you think that Starmer was a good choice?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Can't stand him.
So, what is the right direction for the country then?
That's a good question. I mean, in my view, we've got a crisis of working class political representation, and it's because of that the likes of Reform are able to get an ear, because people are fed up with the status quo and are looking for an alternative. I reckon that we need a new working class party for ordinary people that stands for public ownership, taking money off the super rich and actually putting it into people's communities, into public services and jobs and that.
Okay. And do you think that UK needs more or less immigration?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, in my view, people who come in to this country from abroad shouldn't be used by the bosses to drive down working class people's living standards, and that means getting them into trade unions, investing in public services so that people who live here aren't sort of divided between the people who come in and the people who are already here. Do you know what I mean?
I see what you mean.
I'm against racism, but I'm not just of the view that we can just have the status quo, because what we need is more doctor surgeries, more schools, more investment in hospitals and that sort of thing.
I agree on that, yeah.
Where the tension comes in. And in terms of work, we don't want people coming in and working less than the rate for the job, and that's why we need strong trade union rights in order to make sure that when people come into a workplace, they're not being used to undercut the wages of people who are already there. Do you know what I mean?
I see your point. And lastly then, do you think that getting back the free movement will help or will make things worse for UK?
What do you mean?
When we left EU,
Yeah.
the free movement of people was stopped. Yeah? The European Union citizens are no longer able to come to the country as they were before. They need to apply for visas now. Do you think that's a good thing, or we should get the free movement back?
Well, it comes back to what I said a minute ago. It's not just about the idea of restricting people versus free movement. It's about what conditions they have when they come here. And so I think that we need to have strong trade unions to be able to ensure that if people do come here to work and so on, that they're not being made to work for less than the rate for the job you know, and if people do come here, that we've got proper investment in our public services, so there's not that tension between, you know, people like who live here and people from abroad. But, you know, I think that generally speaking, we ought to have a society in the future where, like, there's not the pressure of people coming from elsewhere because their homelands, like, have got rubbish public services or lack of jobs, or facing war or climate catastrophe as well. So it's not just a question of, you know, the status quo. Do you know what I mean? Like in Eastern Europe, for example, like in the 1990s and into the 2000s, there was massive cuts in public services, massive privatisation, which forced people like out of these countries because they want the jobs there. And so we need to help ordinary people, you know, in Poland, in Lithuania, in Latvia, wherever, like to help them improve their societies so that they can make a real choice about whether they want to come here, rather than just sort of fleeing, you know, unemployment or, you know, low pay and all that sort of thing.
So am I right in a conclusion after what you've said that at the minute UK is not ready for it?
I'm not saying that.
No?
I'm saying that we could be ready if we had a fundamental change in our society, which like meant redistribution of wealth from the top, from the super rich, you know, from the Bezoses and, you know, Elon Musks and all that sort of thing, to ordinary people.
I see what you mean. Okay, thank you very much.
It's all right.
Thank you.
For a big protest on the 9th of July in London. 0R, you'll remember that.
Excuse me, sir, can I ask a question?
What's the question?
Why are you here today?
I'm here because we gather that Reform are gathering next door down the road there, and they're campaigning against solar farms, against immigration, and against a whole lot of things, that and also based on a lot of misinformation.
I see. And do you think that Starmer was a good choice then?
That's not really the point here.
No, but in general, do you
It was
think...
certainly a better choice than what we had before.
Okay. So what is the good choice for UK then, in your opinion?
What is a good choice? And for what?
You know, for a better future,
Well, the better future is to allow, is first to take a bit more control of the climate and social agenda that's ruining our country. How do we get money into the hands of ordinary working people, rather than having it extracted by very rich people, which seems to have been the story for the last 20 years under the Tories, or 14 years, how longer they were there. So we need to have some alternative to that.
Okay.
At the time, at the last election, Labour Party looked like it was offering some kind of change. So, my mind is still open.
So we should give them a bit more time.
We should give them a bit more
see
time.
if they're gonna do what they said. Yeah.
Yes.
I see. Okay. Thank you very
They
much.
had a big mess to pick up from.
And what's the worst thing about Reform UK then?
Well, they're racist underneath it. I think there's that. They are a protest movement with no policy. So I don't know what they would actually do if they came to power, because they're very good at picking up on protests, many of which have some legitimate base. People do feel hard done by. They don't feel their money is going far enough. So it's easy to use those grievances to pick division within society, because that's easier than actually tackling them.
It's an old trick, isn't it?
It's an old trick.
Yeah. And do you think UK needs more or less immigration then?
I think it depends on the type of immigration. We certainly need immigrants. If we don't have immigrants in this country, we're just an ageing population, so we're completely screwed.
So would you
certainly we need immigrants.
So would you say that it's a good idea to fight for the free movement of people to be
On the
open
whole,
again?
yes. I think there probably needs to be some kind of control over immigration, but let's have a sensible discussion about it. At the moment, we don't have a sensible discussion in this book, and the small number of real refugees is confused with the large number of immigrants, many of whom we need. We need doctors, we need nurses, we've got a care service that's falling to pieces, relying on things. We've got building trade that hasn't got enough people to do the jobs. So we talk about building more houses, we desperately need them. We may not have the labour force here. How do you do that without immigration?
I agree on that. Thank you very much. No kto by pomyślał, że spotkamy grupę, moje rozumienie jest takie, socjalistów. No bo główne postulaty, które tutaj słyszeliśmy, to żeby wziąć bogatym i dać biednym. Dajcie znać pod spodem, co wy myślicie na temat takiego pomysłu i tych wszystkich wypowiedzi, które udało mi się dzisiaj dla was zebrać.